I'm going to talk about jazz playing in 3/4, some of the techniques, some of the concepts, some of the issues that are involved in jazz playing in 3/4, as against, say, playing a regular waltz. But before I break down some of the concepts, what I'm going to do is play for you in 3/4, and then afterwards we'll talk about it. 3, 2, 2, 3. If you look back in the history of 3/4 in jazz, it wasn't always played. In fact, it's quite a recent phenomenon. If you look back at, say, Charlie Parker or even Thelonious Monk, they rarely played in 3/4, if ever. So the thing is that 3/4 playing in jazz is really a new thing, and in fact was developed, say, in the late 50s by Max Roach with his groundbreaking album Jazz in 3/4 Time. But then of course the next figure, and for me the most important figure in playing of 3/4 jazz, is the drummer Elvin Jones, and particularly his work with the John Coltrane Quartet. Now what Elvin did really was he made the 3 feel very natural, because 3 is an odd meter, remember, and by putting a 2 pulse within that 3, it made the rhythms more circular. So how do you do that? Well, let's take our 3/4 notes in 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Now, if we play a pulse on the 1 and the and of 2 of that 3, we'll get 2 even beats within that bar. In other words, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 2, 2. Again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this underlying 2 pulse is what gives the rhythm a circular effect. Now, even though the 2 pulse has to be there all the time, it's not as always played, but it's implied, and it can be implied on the bass drum, or we can imply it on the cymbal. So let's have a look first at the cymbal. So if we take our 3/4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, and we put them on the cymbal. 1, 2, 3, 2. Now instead of playing 3, we play the and of 2 and the and of 3. So we're leaving out the 3, we're playing 1, 2, and 3, and. So it's 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3. And this implies the 2 pulse within it. Okay, let's try that a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3. Now I can reinforce that a little bit on the bass drum by playing the 1 and the and of 2s against this simple pattern. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2. you'll see I was adding some of those bass drums on 1 and the end of 2, and then sometimes leaving them out. And immediately we're starting to get this more secular effect. Of course, that bass drum can be played on the snare drum, or else we can play it on the hi-hats, or we can play it anywhere on the drums. Now this cymbal pattern that I've been playing here is quite rigid. Even though it has that rolling effect, it's still pretty rigid, and we wouldn't play that repeatedly. But it can be the basic structure of our 3/4, and then we improvise the cymbal pattern around it. So let's try a little bit of that. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So what I did there was I used that basic cymbal beat that we talked about, the 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and reinforced it with the bass drum and some snare drum, moved it around a little bit, improvised on it, moved it around the kit, and used quite a few triplets. Now that whole triplet thing again goes back to Elvin. Elvin was a master of triplets, and one of the things he did is he created very much a rolling effect, a very open effect in 4/4 and also in 3/4. So, how do we get this 3/4 triplet thing? Well, one of the first ways we could do is play the first beat on the cymbal, second on the snare, third one on the bass drum. Like 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, dakadoo, etc. And we put that within our pattern. Another thing we can do, of course, is replace the bass drum with a hi-hat. So instead of playing, we now play. Or else we can alternate it. These are very common devices, maybe not quite as stiffly as that, but they will be used within the pattern. So let me again just show you some of those triplet things within the 3/4 playing. I'm going to go back, I'm going to use that basic 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and then I'll put in some of these devices here. Let's try this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.